Vikings, Valkyrie, and Shield Maidens of the Internet. Mark with Cardabox Academy here, and today we're checking out Amon Amarth, Get in the Ring. A lot of people are saying that this is worth me looking at, so we'll see. Probably, I think so. I haven't really listened to Amon Amarth since, oh gosh, whichever album Cry of the Blackbirds was on. So it's been a hot minute. But if you're new to the channel, I am a metal vocalist myself. I'm in a band called Kardashev. We just released an album through Metal Blade Records back in June. Check it out if you'd like. Doesn't sound anything like Amon Amarth, but it is metal. I do the gurgles, so maybe you'll be interested in that. I'm also a vocal coach. My full-time job is teaching people how to make, gurgly, nasty sounds, sounds like that, for many years to come, safely and efficiently. So if you're interested in that, you can find links to reach out about lessons below. But here on the channel, I take the reaction format, I break it down, I pause, I talk about vocal technique, I try to have a lot of fun with it while keeping it educational. That's the main goal here. And I'll talk to you about what the vocalists are doing, or if I'm not quite sure, I'll give you my best guess. Because, I know a lot, but I don't know everything. If you like the content, like, share, subscribe, click the bell icon. A lot of YouTubers will tell you to smash it. You don't have to smash it. You can click it gently if you want. Just, go about it at your own pace. Don't let anybody tell you how to click a bell icon. You click a bell icon the way you want to do it. What am I talking about? And then we do have a Patreon that you can check out. Pretty much everything on our Patreon exists on our Discord server. We have a listening party tonight, and we have karaoke events. The 3rd, so this is being filmed on July 1st, but on the 3rd, we have a karaoke event where we all get to pick our own songs, and I'm going to do Veil of Nath, Accursed, and Cattle Decapitation, Kingdom of Tyrants, 2 of my favorite metal songs ever, so should be a good time. Anyway, I think it's time to talk about Amon Amarth, talk about Johan Hegg. That's all I got for you. So without further ado, yes, everything is recording. I wasn't recording the first time I did this intro, so I had to redo it. All right. Let's go ahead and get into it. Amon Amarth, Get in the Ring. Here we go. Let's fight or draw swords or something. Boom. All right. All right, I'm just going to pause it here real quick. So not the Viking vibe that I was expecting. Well, I mean, we still got we saw like a battle axe type thing. But we also saw some pistols. We saw some sort of large rifle. I don't know a lot about modern weaponry, so I'm going to say some dumb things. But anyway, yeah, I'm liking this sort of Mad Max vibe. I'm interested to see where this goes. It's kind of a long intro, but I like the slow groove that we just had build up into the double kick, the kicks. Kind of neat. Oh. Okay, we've got a little transition here. So let's talk about Johan's vocals. Let's talk about the way that they sound. So a couple cool things here. Johan Hegg was one of the first people that I ever heard do low gurgly vocals, because Amon Amarth has been around for a really long time. I don't know exactly how long. I think the mid maybe even early 90s. I could be wrong. Feel free to fact check me in the comments below. But Johan's one of the first people who I heard like really growl, and I remember thinking that was kind of crazy, right? In fact, a lot of time, like Johan, back when Amon Amarth was kind of newer, at least to me, and I was younger, there was like, today we kind of call it all screams, like a low scream and a high scream. But back then, a lot of people, they used to call these types of things, these were growls. These were not screams. If you called them screams, you were wrong. I'm just going to say here on Carnivox Academy, I don't give a flying flark what you call them. You could call them blueberry pancakes, and I'd be like, hey, as long as we're talking about the same thing, it doesn't really matter to me. So whatever. But his growl is based on a false chord sound. Right now, what that means is there are a couple, like, you know, sometimes people will come to me and they'll actually mention him, which it always kind of makes me happy, because like the some of the more earlier vocalists, they still get some recognition, but they'll say like, hey, you know, I really like Amon Amarth's growls. I would love to do that. And I'm like, okay, cool. Let's talk about it. So one of the first things that people get wrong is they think that because this is a really gurgly, throaty sound, it's going to exist in their throat. And they'll do things like, even still a lot more, they'll close up their throat. They'll kind of, pardon me, they'll kind of sound like that if they're able to get any sound at all. This is kind of a deceptive aspect of more like foundational, fundamental false chord sounds, which is that your throat needs to be very relaxed and open, right? You don't have to make like this big cavity. You don't have to do anything like that, but just a nice, open, natural airway. That's going to go a long way for you. The other thing is that even though it's a throaty sound, right, we're not going to feel the majority of the distortion in the throat. We're actually going to feel a lot of it behind the tongue and on the soft palate, right? One of the things that we need to know if we're going to work with most metal vocals, especially vocals like this, is what it feels like to have forward resonance, right? So one thing I work with a lot of my students on is saying the letter E, and noticing where your tongue makes connections by the molars and the bottom. Not everybody touches the bottom teeth. Many do. E. When I do that, E, you can see my tongue's kind of up and forward. E, A, E, A. And in doing so, my tongue is actually kind of out of the back of my mouth, and it's keeping open space for things to rattle around. So if I do like just your basic false chord grunt, hey, 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 yeah, I may, right? You can hear that it's not this like, it's not down here, right? I'm not positioning myself like a bad John C. Reilly impression, right? It's up and forward. Now he's doing a little bit extra to his voice to give it that real solid gurgle. We're going to talk about that in a bit, but for now, this is based on, it's a little bit more than, but it's based on your basic false chord growl, which is no vocal folds touching, soft tissues flapping around. Hey, hey, here, that sort of sound right there. Still gets used today. Alex Tayan uses it really well in Black Tongue. Anyways, here we go. Oh, you know, real quick, what I would love to see, you know, back how in the early 2000s there was like Def Jam Vendetta, and there was like this like wrestling / fighting game, but it was all like rappers and hip hop artists. Super fun game. I loved it. This video is making me want that, but for metal. So like you would have like Amon Amarth and, you know, all sorts of Danny Filth. Like imagine like the cool like fighting moves that Danny Filth would have. That'd be crazy. I love video games, so I could talk about this for way too long, but like this makes me want a Super Smash Bros, but with metal artists. Be sick. Yeah. Okay, let's talk some vocals there. I love that, like, I don't know the name of the term, but like the roundhouse kick and the little like blood splatters. It's kind of funny, but it's kind of cool. Okay, so let's talk about what he's doing past the point of false chord, right? Because like we can hear hey, ma, that it's built on that, but that doesn't sound quite right. Now, sometimes the reason a vocal might sound different is because we just have different vocal anatomy, right? Like I probably will never be able to hit the exact same tone and low that like Alex Terrible does. And he's just better at that than me, right? That's the thing. But a lot of times, especially with these foundational sounds, it is kind of a thing where anybody can really do it. And that's not to say that it's bad or good. It's just, this is what we were doing back in the day, right? So what I want to do is I want to take this false chord sound. Hey, hey, hey. I want to add a little bit of gurgle to it. Hey, 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 say, right there like this. Vikings, Odin, Thor, battle axe, right? Now, how am I doing that? That's kind of a tricky thing. Again, the way that it sounds will make you think that it's like I'm taking the scream and I'm swallowing it, right? False, not at all. What I'm doing is I'm bringing in my arytenoid cartilages, a little bit of my epiglottis as well. Epiglottis is like this little trapdoor that sits kind of underneath the back of your tongue and closes over the airway when you swallow. Arytenoid cartilages sit above your vocal folds, and when your vocal folds close, your arytenoids kind of do this, close and open, close and open. Really interesting, right? I'm bringing those into the mix. Now, these are difficult structures to handle on their own, right? It's difficult to handle them like just move the arytenoids. So one thing that I did, and I didn't realize I was doing this until I sort of picked apart my own technique a long time ago, was I realized I was kind of putting a Kermit the Frog onto my scream, right? You can hear how that creates a little sound. If I take a normal false chord growl, hi, but I change the shape of my vocal tract to sound like Kermit. I'm squeezing the back of my tongue just a little bit. My larynx is going up kind of circumstantially. I'm not driving it upwards. It's just right there. I take that grunt. Way, sway, mead and ale and Viking ships. Right. And then from there, all we need to do to drop those tone, that tone or multiple tones lower is just change the shape of my mouth, right? Everything I do is kind of like a mid, right? If I want to make it lower, I'm just going to go my low voice. Right, like that. See, this does not require me to squeeze the area around my vocal folds. It doesn't require me to push a lot harder. There is a little bit more engagement from my abdominal muscles, but I'm not like, I don't feel like I'm picking up anything heavy. I'm not going, right? There's none of that. I feel like I'm mostly just breathing and the distortion is riding on that airflow. You can see that my neck is really relaxed and yours can be too. This isn't hard. It just takes training and focus, right? Now, one thing that he does is he kind of chews a lot on his voice in the front. The was riding deep. He has a lot of that going on. I've got more of like a deathcore styling just because that's the world I grew up in. But it's pretty much the same thing. So if you can do the false chord growl, hey, try throwing a little bit of Kermit the Frog on it. Anyways, here we go. That's actually a really good example of what I was talking about. The low and the mid and the high is created with the shape of the mouth. I will say that with this technique, this like, hey, I challenge you. Hey. It's going to be very hard to turn into like some of the more popular high vocals like the It's going to be really hard to do that because if your arytenoids are kind of together and your epiglottis is coming in slightly, right? We don't want to like smack our epiglottis around, but sometimes our epiglottis will tilt back and lightly involve itself in the distortion. It's not something we really want to do when we're starting because it generally means we're too low, right? But what was I saying? Oh, yes. If these things are together, then when we do a high scream, our larynx is going to lift slightly and everything's just going to kind of smush. Everything's going to kind of smush. So this is not going to be a great technique if you want to get like really piercing highs. Just kind of straight up the truth. But, you know, he took this, I don't remember the word he said, maybe he'll say it again, but he basically was like, wah, 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 ow, ow, right? You can hear, you actually, okay, that's a really good example. Did you hear how my voice kind of like skipped? It sounded like my voice broke. That's because I was trying to take this sound high and everything sort of smushed against itself. So that's a really good example. You just heard it there. If you didn't hear it, go back and you can hear my scream kind of like break, like a type of sound, right? Anyways, let's keep going. When the sun begins to wax? I thought it was the moon that waxes and wanes. Is that what he said? Let's use that phrase to talk about it. So if I'm here, if I have like just like this basic tone, you can hear that that's a mid. I'm going to say this in a position that's comfortable for my speaking voice. Come fight me in the ring. Okay. Now I'm going to articulate it more so like a metal vocalist, right? Come fight me in the ring, right? Sounds super silly, but just bear with me. Hey, come fight me in the ring. But it's not very low, is it? That's a mid at best, right? So listen to this. Check this out. Notice how I didn't drop my pitch. But my voice sounds a lot wider and more like echoey, cavernous. We're shifting the resonance. We're playing with that formant, right? And we're pulling out a lot of those lower frequencies that are already in my voice. That way I can create, and when I have distortion, it's just texture. It's not my voice. Hey, ha. It's just all texture. There's no audible pitch, right? It's got a pitch, but we don't hear it the same way we hear like a ee, right? It's not the same. So if I do the same thing, wah, wah, ooh, 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 come fight me in the ring, has that lower tone, but I didn't do any work here. I did work here. Very important. Let's keep going. Oh. Is this an Amon Amarth diss track? You're a dog without a bike? Like, wait, hold on. What did he say? You'll die by my hand without a bite. You're a dog without a bite and your taunts are uninspired. I just feel so like someone in the back's just gonna like put their sunglasses on and walk away, or somebody's gonna be like, oh, right? Like, yeah, this is like totally an Amon Amarth diss track. That's awesome. I love that. Anyways, let's just finish it out and then we'll talk about a few things and we'll close. Oh. Redbeard is unmatched. Oh, there's a little bit more. My bad. Oh, it's just the camera panning or spinning, whatever. Oh, that's cool that he kind of turned with the camera. That was neat. Okay, cool. Yeah, you can kind of hear those moments where he opens up and it becomes a wider tone. All in the mouth. So anyway, pretty simple video as far as vocal technique is concerned, but simple is sometimes my favorite, right? Not everything has to be super, all over the place and in acrobatic. Like sometimes we can sit in the pocket and just do a couple things really, really well. But that was Amon Amarth. Get in the ring. I'm not going to get in the ring because Mr. Redbeard kicked my ass. So I will pass. But if they make a video game, if Amon Amarth releases a video game, I'll play it. Anyways, that's enough from me. If you like the content, like, share, and subscribe. If you're interested in learning how to make metal vocal sounds, email me using the email in the description. Our editor might even put a little card there. Who's to say? Appreciate you, Ludo. Beyond that, as always, many thanks, much love. I'm out.